everyone to day 2 of the Pokemon Regional Championships here in Perth, Western Australia. My name is Daniel Collins, and before we get into the top 8 match here today, we are going to take a quick look at the meta from day 1. So we have the graph up on screen. The graph was put together by Blake Smith. You can go check him out at T Sneasel on Twitter. Just the letter T, followed by Sneasel on Twitter. He put this together for me. So as you can see, day 1 full of ADP Zacian decks, taking up about a third of the meta from day 1. And then everything else kind of having an equal share, like all the other meta decks kind of having an equal share. Firebox, Pikachu Zekrom, Blacephalon. Now you might be looking at Ultimate Mewtwo on this list, and you might be going, what is Ultimate Mewtwo? Like, what actually is Ultimate Mewtwo? Ultimate Mewtwo is a list created by Henry Brand. It is a very, very interesting take on Mewtwo Mew Tag Team. It uses Soul Burst GX from Solgaleo to energy accelerate onto the board. There is no Welder to accelerate energy. There is no Malamar to accelerate energy. It is usually done by Soul Burst. So that is the way that deck functions. Has a lot of interesting attackers, including Alolan Raticate GX, Vileplume GX, Flygon GX. So a lot of different attackers in that. And then we had a whole bunch of, like, that whole big grey space at the bottom of the graph there is like other decks. So there was like a one-off Obstagoon. There was a Nidoqueen Meganium Swampert in the field. There was just a whole bunch of like random one-off decks. There was a couple of more Pico Pokédoll decks in the field as well. So we just kind of lumped them all together in other because they're kind of like very, very fringe, if not off meta decks. So we and they weren't big enough in numbers to be given their own spot on the graph. So we just lumped them all together in other. So pretty much a third of the field ADP, a third of the field other, and then the other third made up by a sprinkling of the other meta decks. So as you can see, as we flip over to the top 8 bracket, you can see on screen, it is no surprise that it is filled up with ADP Zacian. 6 of the top 8 decks here in Perth are ADP Zacian. As you can see, Jordan Palmer is our first seed, and he will be featured in the upcoming top 8 match that we're going to go over today. He played a little bit of a tech list, which we'll take a look at in a second. You had Menghon Chow playing Blacephalon. There is our world champion, Henry Brand, with his Ultimate Mewtwo list. And the rest are just different variations of ADP. I believe only Clifton and Christian had the exact same ADP list. All the other ADP lists were different. Corey Monroe playing the spicy Alolan Ninetales version of ADP. So unfortunately we won't get to check that out, but I'm sure he will put up. I'm sure his list is around if you choose to go find it. But obviously this top 8 matchup brought to you by PokeStats. Go follow them on Twitter as well at PokeStatsTCG. They cover all the events. They have a great collection of day 2 deck lists all the time. Meta breakdowns, and then go through all your top 8 bracket breakdowns as well. So definitely go check those guys out. But before we get into the match today, we got to take a look at the deck list for our two top 8 competitors here. We'll get those up on screen for you now. Now, the top 8 match we're going to show is between Jordan Palmer and Ying Hao Tou. Now, Jordan stayed with me this weekend, so I have seen this list. I have played this list. I was piloting it while he was testing Ultimate Mewtwo, Henry's Ultimate Mewtwo list. He wanted to see how that played out. So I have a good idea of how this deck runs. It is a relatively standard ADP list. There is nothing too crazy going on in the Pokemon line. 3 Jirachi, 3 Zacian, 2 ADP, 2 Dedenne, an Absol, and an Oranguru. And you look down to trainers, very, very standard. 4 of everything you want to have in the deck: Research, Quick Ball Switch, Metal Saucer, Custom Catcher. Now, I'm sure Jordan would love 4 Acrobike as well, but he's obviously decided to put in a couple of tech cards here. He chose to go the Metal Frying Pan route. Obviously, that -30 if it's attached to a fire Pokemon, attached to a metal Pokemon, not a fire Pokemon. And reducing and removing that weakness from fire Pokemon. Obviously, very good into Baby Cephalon, making sure they have to have all the energy to take out a Zacian V, rather than getting away with only having to discard 3 due to that weakness. But he's also playing the very, very spicy 2 Wait and See hammer. Now, Jordan coming this weekend, I had a chat to him. He expected a lot of ADP, and as you can see by the meta graph before, he was very correct in predicting he was going to see a lot of ADP. So he chose to play 2 Wait and See hammer. Now, in testing, I don't think we played a single Wait and See hammer. But throughout the day, I had a chat to him, and he got Wait and See hammer off a couple of times throughout the day when it really, really mattered. In the mirror, it's very good if your opponent goes first, attaches that water to an ADP, and you're able to Wait and See hammer that water away. Not only are you Wait and See hammering away a 2 of, so most decks are only playing 2 water, so you're hammering away one of those. But then you're also setting them behind a turn, so it's like you went first and you get a supporter going second. So it can be a great card, and we found out in testing it doesn't really hinder you throughout the match. It's not really you ever draw Wait and See hammer, you're like, oh, I wish this was something else. So Jordan was quite happy leaving the 2 Wait and See hammer in there as a nice little tech to be able to deal with the mirror, Ultimate Mewtwo, anything. Getting that energy attachment lead is always very important in Pokemon. So Wait and See hammer could be big. Now, if we move over to Ying's list, Ying has decided to play a very, very, for lack of a better word, plain Jane ADP. It is just maximum counts of everything that he can choose. There's no text. It is just all about consistency. The 4 Jirachi, 4 Zacian to make sure he gets that Intrepid Sword off turn 1. He's playing 4 Quick Ball, 4 Switch, 4 Metal Source, 4 Custom Catcher, 4 Pokemon Catcher, the 3 Cherish Ball, 3 Energy Spinner to make sure he can find that Water Energy turn 1, or any Energy turn 1, preferably the Water Energy, obviously. The 2 Skateboard, 2 Shrine, pretty standard. Now, I don't know why. He probably could. He doesn't play any Great Catcher, which I think is very interesting. I think he could have easily cut one of the regular Pokemon catchers to fit the guaranteed catcher. I think losing 1 coin flip for getting the guarantee, I think is probably a better decision playing 1 Great Catcher over 4 Pokemon Catcher. But hey, who am I to argue? Ying made it all the way to top 8, and I'm just sitting here commentating the match. So he obviously has played a lot better than I would have in this event, so we can't really fault him there. But yeah, just the difference of 2 lists. It's going to be a little bit of a teched ADP versus a very, very standard, consistent list from Ying. So the players are just setting up now. So we will move down to the tables so we can get into covering all the action. And I'll see you guys there. See, I told you guys I would make it. Thank you very much for joining me, guys. As you can see, our players are just getting into this top 8 match. It will be Jordan on the left with the South Australian Sableye match. And on the right with the 2019 World Championship competitor match will be Ying. Now, Jordan, obviously part of their Sableye group. You can go check them out on YouTube. The Sableyes, producing a lot of great, informative, and funny Pokemon TCG content, so be sure to go check those guys out. And Ying, a player out of Sydney, rocking that Furret GX marker there. Now, we saw both players mulligan there, show each other, both aware each other are playing ADP. Now we see Ying start with that Oranguru. Not the best starter for ADP, definitely not something you want to see. And we get the handshake. Oh, hang on. Coronavirus and handshakes, I tell ya. We got to watch out for those. But obviously, both players gonna make sure they wash their hands after this matchup, after that one. But as you can see, Jordan opening up with Jirachi, Ying getting that first turn energy spinner off. Perfect, exactly what you want to see in your opening hand, turn 1. that energy spinner. Goes and gets a metal energy out of his deck. Shuffles it up now. Here's... Wow. Now, if Ying was playing poker, he would be all over this hand. He has 3 switch, 2 metal and a water, I believe, in his hand. And he's using Oranguru's ability to put a card on top of your deck and, well, take a card from your hand and swap it with the top card of your deck. Attaches that metal. Oh, and Jordan had the wait and see hammer waiting. Unfortunately, that energy was only attached to Oranguru, not to an ADP. But he gets rid of that energy nevertheless. And then Jordan going through his options here. He's going to Cherish Ball. Going to go grab that ADP out of his deck. Both are in there. We've got 1 water, 2 water in that deck. So no dramas of prizing any water energy here. Now in testing, playing a game against Jordan, Jordan did prize both water energy against me. So that can happen. You're only playing 2 water energy. So unlikely, but very, very unfortunate if it does happen. But he goes and grabs that ADP, just fanning through that deck, making sure he knows what's in his prizes. It didn't seem to be anything noticeably problematic in his prizes when he went through that search. Slams down the Acrobite, old art, best art. Gets rid of the frying pan. Drops Zacian. And he's missed it. No, he's going to Professor Research away. Double Shrine. Great catch up looks of it. He's digging for that energy. He's going to make sure he's trying to find that energy. He gets that metal and he gets the water as well. He has all the options in the world. Acrobike for more options. The more options you have, the more decisions you get to make. The more information you have to make those decisions. So, Acrobiking always good here. What's he going to take off this Acrobike? Choice between Cherish Ball and a custom. Probably doesn't want to lose the custom. No, he does decide to lose the custom. Interesting. So he takes the Cherish Ball. What's he going to go grab here? Dedenne? Ready for next turn? He's just going to grab an ADP, looking to get rid of it. No, he moves that Dedenne to the front of his deck. Takes another quick check through. Drags Dedenne out. That little electric mouse is coming for a ride. Is going into Jordan's hand. Now let's see. Should have touched just the water here. He's still got the Stellar Wish. After all this, I'd completely forgot we didn't have the sideways Jirachi. But turns it the correct way for a sleep. We see so many players turn it right, as if the Jirachi gets paralyzed, but turns it the correct direction there. Grabs that switch off the Stellar Wish. That's going to help him get out of the active next turn, seeing he doesn't have an escape board in hand. So that's definitely getting the Jirachi. Uses that, taps that Zacian, indicating he's using that Intrepid Sword ability. Draw 3 cards. If any of those are metal energy, attach it. And he has had a disgusting first turn, Jordan here. Getting the 2 metal energy off that Intrepid Sword. He is so far ahead. And we know Ying's hand is so bad. And on top of that bad hand, Jordan is just hitting double metal energy off Intrepid Sword. We see Ying get the Dedenne, which gets him out of a bad hand. But he has to lose so many resources there with that Dead A change. But he may be able to get going here, may be able to set up. He is quite far behind Jordan, especially considering Ying went first. So he has a lot of ground to make up. Cherish Ball searching through that deck. And puts the ADP. He's going to go back in. Grabs the ADP. Drops that energy spinner. Getting that... No, you can't grab his Zacian, mate. You can't grab his Zacian with energy spinner. You got to get that water energy. One action ahead of time, Ying. And now he plays that quick ball. We can go grab that Zacian. Now, notice both players getting rid of their Shrine of Punishments here. I don't know if that will become a thing later on. Normally not. You're normally just trying to swing at each other's Zacians to win this game. Because they are going to be the thing that's trying to attack you, so you want to take out your opponent's attacker. But Ying drops that ADP with the water energy attached, drops that gold Zacian. There is straight money there on the bench of Ying's side. And is he just going to Intrepid Sword and pass here? I don't know what else he can... Oh, okay. Okay, so he's going to play the switch. I'm not sure... I guess he's not afraid of ADP getting knocked out. and he wants to keep that Guru alive for its ability. It could become very important. So he drops that Professor's Research, moves ADP into the active with the switch, and it's just going to Intrepid Sword, end his turn. Doesn't get as lucky as Jordan hitting any mental energy. Jordan with that Sleep Flip, seeing Jirachi wake up. Not that that would have really mattered. Jordan has the switch, has the Energy Spinner. Now, despite Jordan having energy in his hand already, you definitely want to play Energy Spinner here, just to thin some cards. Now, he's already got the metal in hand for the ADP. So he's eyeing off the second water. Now, Jordan doesn't play anything else that is going to use that water energy. Once he's got one water attached to ADP, the other water is pretty much a dead card in ADP in general once you've got one attached. So thinning that card out of the deck, not removing any other metal energies. And he's taking a look through, going to Stellar Wish with that Jirachi. Looking at the top 5, grabbing a trainer you see there. Let's see what he grabs here. Now, there's a Research nearest to us here. He's going to take a quick look at his hand. 3 energy, switch at the other end. I think there's a Zacian in his hand as well. The Dedenne he grabbed last turn should still be there. And what is possibly another switch on the far side of his hand. Going to grab that Escape Board. It's going to save Jordan using that switch. He may still want to use it, just to get it out of his hand in case he is going to research or Dead A change anyway. But going to get that Escape Board. Always something you want to see off a Stellar Wish. Now, you're going to attach the metal here to ADP. Going to look to use that Altered Creation GX this turn. Retreats that Jirachi into the ADP. Flip that GX marker Altered Creation. Has the bonus effect as well. So we're doing 30 extra damage. And we are taking an extra prize card if we knock out an opponent's Pokemon with one of our attacks. Now, he passes with 8. After that, he has 8 cards in his hand. So let's see where Ying can go here. Now, he's going to get the Metal attachment. He's going to get Altered Creation this turn. He doesn't have any energy on the Zacian, so... But if he finds metal sources, we know he has plenty of metal energy in the discard. There we go. We have 3 metal energy in the discard along with a water. So if he finds the metal sources, he can get a Zacian going pretty quickly here. But being that turn behind in the mirror can be rough. Ying checking out all his options here. Is he going to drop the other Zacian? Or Jirachi? No, he drops the other. Another gold Zacian. Boy. I don't know what Ying does for a job, but whatever it is, I think we need to be doing it. Because that man with 2 gold Zacians, he either pulled extremely well, or that man has way too much money. But either way, he attaches that metal energy to ADP. He's got that Marnie in his hand. Should be very good to disrupt Jordan's hand of 8 here. It may buy Ying the turns he needs. He's going to... I think it's Primate Wisdom, I think, is Oranguru's ability. Swapping a card from his hand with the card of his deck. It's a great way to be able to save things like custom catches, resources that you're going to need. You can do cheeky little things like put a Dedenne back on top and then play Professor's Research and making sure you get the Dedenne so you can dig even deeper. Lots of cheeky little plays you can use Oranguru for. But Jordan reduced to 4. Ying's going to flip his Furret and Altered Creation himself, also gaining the extra additional effects. Now, Jordan gets Professor Research and the Acro Bike play, so he has no problem drawing out of this money now. Going to play a quick ball, discarding that ADP. Once he's got that ADP up, it's got GX off, so there is no need for that second ADP ever. It is always going to be a liability if you decide to bench it, so you may as well get value out of it by using it as a discard option. Now Jordan goes and gets his own little Oranguru. Let's see what else he does here. Now he's going to use the Oranguru, putting the card back on top now. He gets that Dedenne, but he decides to throw it away with versus research. There's no reason if you can draw well to drop the Dedenne itself. It is just going to be a liability that Ying can use to take 3 prizes, which means Yings would only have to kill one Zacian, one Dedenne to end the game. So definitely smart by Jordan then not to drop the Dedenne. Whereas Ying unfortunately had to drop Dedenne this game, which makes the prize map for Jordan a lot easier. It's Killer's Ace and Killer Dedenne. That's the 2 simplest knockouts he can take to end this game. But we see Jordan grab the custom catcher off the Stellar Wish here. Switching into that Jirachi out of the ADP. Now, let's see. He's got the metal attached to the Zacian, but we'll see what he does here. Nope, he's got the metal attached to ADP. Now, does he have another Zacian in his hand? Now, if he has another Zacian in his hand, I don't mind this. But he comes down with the Ultimate Ray for 180. Now, obviously, Jordan is ahead. This is only going to put him further ahead. And he has the ability to do it. Now, you see that water energy on the Jirachi, a very smart attachment. You may be wondering, but the Jirachi's already got a skateboard on it. What does it need an energy for? Well, a very common card played in this deck, as you saw during the deck list before. Both players play Absol. So obviously, now if that Jirachi ever ends up in the active, he can easily retreat it. You just discard that water energy, and he'll be able to retreat that Jirachi no problem at all. He also gets the energy on Zacian to make sure Zacian V has 3 energy on it. And of course drops the 180 damage on ADP. But Ying, playing the Cherish Ball, goes and thins out the ADP. Again, just thinning your deck here. You want to be able to get down to resources that you want, which are going to be metal sources and gust effects, so whether it's custom catcher or Pokemon catcher on the side of Ying, or just the 4 custom catchers on the side of Jordan. Yep, so Cherish Balls for that ADP. Instantly discards that ADP with Quick Ball to go grab a Jirachi. Shuffling up, Jordan just checking his discard, making sure he knows what all his options are. Now, the Jirachi needs to go, yeah. Yeah, you can't just get the free discard of the Jirachi. Now, you may not want it, Ying, but you're definitely going to have to keep that one. And he swaps out one of the cards in his hand for the top card using Orangu again. He also attaches to ADP. Now, Ying is in a situation where he probably is more under the pump to attach to ADP here to get the energy acceleration going onto his Zacians to be able to have a chance in this matchup. We haven't seen any metal sources from Ying. Now, he's got 1 in his hand, so he can definitely get 1 energy on the Zacian this turn, along with 3... Well, if he's got 1, 2, 3, 4... He's got 2 metal on the field, 3 in the discard, and 1 in his hand. So there's only 2 left in his deck off this Ultimate Ray. So he gets the Metal Saucer on his Zacian. He's eyeing off Custom Catcher. What's he going to grab here? Eyeing off the Jirachi or the Oranguru? Because obviously he doesn't kill the Zacian, and like putting 180 damage on the Zacian is almost irrelevant here at this point. So you must be eyeing off probably the Jirachi to hopefully he can try and affect Jordan's consistency. But Jordan has plenty of cards in hand. I think he has 6 or so in hand, and Ying's probably just checking through for researchers there, seeing what Jordan's draw options are like. If he does knock out this Jirachi, is Jordan going to have any issues coming back? But we see the first knockout there with Ultimate Ray. Ying, yeah. So he doesn't. So it looks like he might have prized 1 metal energy, I think, based on the fact there was only 1 in his deck to grab off the Ultimate Ray. And both players looking through each other's discard. Very important in these matches to keep track of your opponent's resources, what they've used, what they've got left, so you can understand how to play out this matchup. Now, Ying decides to split his energy onto his Zacian rather than putting all the energy on one, which is very smart here, right? Because if Jordan has a lot of cards in hand, he probably has a lot of draw options. So if he finds Custom Catcher and can kill a Zacian that Ying has stacked all his energy on, so if there were two metal energy on the one Zacian here, Jordan finds double custom here, he knocks out that Zacian, and that is more than likely game over for Ying, even though he is currently up 2 prizes after that Jirachi. But Jordan here can knock out this ADP and take 4 prizes in one turn, which is going to be a huge momentum shift. And then he just needs to kill anything, right? Ying's going to have to come and attack with a Zacian at some point. But Jordan using Quick Ball, discarding a Custom Catcher. Now he knows that in this situation, he probably doesn't need to gust anything off the bench. He's going to be able to kill this ADP, and then if Ying ever wants to come and win this game, he is going to have to bring Zacian to the active, which is exactly what Jordan wants to kill. So he is in a fine situation where he doesn't need any gust effects. Now the perfect thing here, the perfect thing here would be to attack with the ADP. But he is retreating the ADP. I can only think that's because he hasn't got any energy in the discard. Yeah. I can only think that was the only reason. He didn't have any energy in the discard and he needed targets for Metal Saucer. So he's going to play Professor's Research here. Definitely don't want to drop that to Dene. Plays the Professor's Research. So Ying, despite knocking out that Jirachi, Jordan has no problem drawing out of this hand. Another Quick Ball to put another metal in the discard. Jordan looking at what's left in his deck. A Jirachi, a very thin deck. Only like 6 or 7 cards left, but Jordan has everything he needs on field. If he can find a couple more, another Metal Saucer. Yep, gets that Metal Saucer, attaches it straight out of the Quick Ball. The metal energy straight off the Quick Ball. And look at that. Look at that. In a single turn, he's gone from an ADP and a Zacian powered up into 2 Zacians fully powered up. He takes the knockout on the ADP with Zacian. Now, Ying is between a rock and a hard place here. He is in heaps of trouble. If he wants to win this match, he has to come attack with Zacian. Jordan has 2 Zacians fully powered up. He is absolutely afraid of nothing. He also got the Absol down that turn, making it even harder for Ying to decide what to promote. It's going to make it mean he needs an energy to retreat this to Dene, even with the escape board on it. He's still going to need to find and attach to that to Dene to be able to get out of the active. Or a switch, obviously. But he is going to attach to that to Dene, which is going to hurt Ying a lot. Because he would have preferred that metal energy to be attached to a Zacian this turn. But unfortunately, this is all the remnants from that slow start from Ying, unfortunately. Having that terrible opening hand of like 3 switch and energy spinner and 3 energy. He's been trying to recover ever since. Meanwhile, Jordan had the perfect opening hand. He had Jirachi, he had ADP, he had a Zacian, he had the water attached, and Intrepid Sword to finish, which is exactly what you want to see. Now, and the Mani comes down from Ying to try and disrupt. I think, but at this point in the game, Jordan has everything he needs on board. There's not a single thing he needs to have in his hand at this point in time. If Ying wants to win the game, he's going to have to bring Zacian, like I've said. And that's exactly what Jordan wants to see in the active. And it's like, if that Dedenne stays there, the Dedenne is going to win Jordan the game as well. But Ying might be able to catch a stall the ADP. Might be his only out here if he can drag up that ADP. I don't know how many switches Jordan has left. And that's exactly what Ying has decided to do. A desperation move here, hoping Jordan does not have switch or a way to get that ADP out of the active spot. And Jordan counting his deck, which makes me believe Jordan may think he has an out. He's double checking his discard now, I imagine. Let's see how many switches he used. I think there is 3 switches in that discard. So if he hasn't prized his final switch, he has one in deck. So let's see if Jordan can find that switch. Let's see if he can get that switch. If that Dedenne stays active and Jordan finds that switch, that is going to be Jordan winning the game. I think Ying has to retreat here to a single prize attacker. Yep, definitely let Jirachi get that Stellar Wish off. Ying, has he got a Metal Saucer in hand? I'm not quite sure what his 2 cards in hand are. One looks like a Metal Saucer. He shows it to Jordan. Stellar Wish is here. What's he going to grab? Energy Spinner? Does he think Shrine helps him here? I don't think Shrine helps him here at all. Unless he thinks he's going to try and... Well, I guess if you take Shrine here and hope that Jordan can't get out of the active, it's going to tick away on the ADP. And then you potentially can take the knockout and the game if you take 4 prizes off the ADP with Zacian. So that is Ying's... I think it's almost Ying's only out at this point. He has to hope Jordan can't get ADP out of the active. Shrine does its job and ticks away at the ADP. And then he will be able to come in with a Zacian to finish off the game. Ying just checking all his resources. Should definitely play that Metal Saucer this turn onto a Zacian. Drops the Shrine. If it is. I don't know why he wouldn't play the Metal Saucer. Just takes the Intrepid Sword. Okay. Ah, and Jordan top decks the switch to take the final 2 prizes off that Jirachi. Top decking the switch there to end the game. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Jordan wrapping up game 1 against Ying here. While I shuffle up, we will prep ourselves for game 2. But yeah, just a very unfortunate start there from Ying and a perfect start from Jordan. So I guess we'll find out this game if Jordan can have just as good a start and hopefully Ying can have a much better one this game. Both players flipping those GX markers back up. They are the marker that means the most in this matchup. First to GX in this matchup typically wins unless something weird goes on with players being forced to bench Dedennes. If you can avoid benching Dedennes at all costs, it is very beneficial in this matchup to force your opponent to go through all the high HP attackers or get access to those Zacians sitting on the bench. But both players drawing 7 here. Ying looks like he's got a better start. A Jirachi and an ADP in hand. Jordan opening that wait and see hammer again. Boy, this I tell you, if there's ever a time that this card has shone this hard, it is in this matchup. Opening wait and see hammer both games is utterly disgusting in the ADP merit, especially with Ying choosing to go first. Ying, so many options here. Cherish Ball, Quick Balls, already has a Pokemon, one of those Pokemon in hand as well. Taking a quick look through, it grabs the ADP. I didn't see any water. Did I miss a water energy there? One. I think that's also what Ying's counting. 1 water energy. Just a singular water energy. Okay. So hopefully Ying's got a way to get that water energy. I don't think he had the other water energy in hand, so this could be interesting for Ying if he manages to attach that water energy turn 1 and Jordan is able to remove it. Yeah, so no water energy in hand for Ying. So this is where we just pray for Ying at this point. We're praying that Ying can't find that water energy turn 1 and avoids the wait and see hammer, because if he gets that water energy wait and see hammered away, it's going to be bad news for Ying, I think. It's going to be a very bad time for Ying. But you see Ying Stellar Wish here. Look at his 5. Drop them down. Look at his hand. Making very sure to keep those 2 piles of cards separate. Shows to Jordan that he's taking the Cherish Ball. Shuffles everything back in. So you've got 2 Cherish Balls. Those League Promo Cherish Balls. Look at those pretty little League Promos. It's one thing I've liked about what Pokemon's done in more recent times. All their promos are like playable stuff. Rather than back in the day, you just get random Pokemon as your playable. Same as the pre-release promos, they're a lot more playable nowadays as well, which has been great for Pokemon to take a step in that direction. But it plays that second Cherish Ball for that Dedenne. Is Ying gonna have to bench a Dedenne again? It's gonna be a feels bad man if he has to bench that, but he might just be able to research it away here. Drops a second Jirachi. Gonna Stellar Wish again? He's looking for a way to find water energy, I think. Well, he found the water energy, but not in the way not a way he can viably grab it. That's for sure. I think he's desperately looking for energy spinner so he can go get the water energy. I think that's what Ying should be looking for here. But he doesn't. He just has to grab another escape board. Feels bad. Does this mean Ying's going to be forced to Dedenne because he can't find an energy turn 1? Is he going to be forced to Dedenne to dig for an energy? That's going to feel really bad for Ying if that's the case. He's going to go get that Oranguru. He's going to try and give himself as many ways as possible to not have to play down this Dedenne. But I'm not liking Ying's chances here. I feel like he's going to have to drop that Dedenne. It's going to feel really bad if he whiffs energy here turn 1. I mean, it's going to feel bad if he hits water energy too, right? Like, don't get me wrong, like, Jordan's got wait and see hammer waiting, but we'll see how Ying decides to play this out. Drops Zacian, Guru. He's going to put the custom catcher back on. What does he get? Switch? Nope, he gets a Marnie. Okay. Dedenne's the Marnie away. I think he probably could have afforded to play Marnie there, but I think he's just in case he finds research. And he still misses an energy. And he misses additional draw. And he's forced to Intrepid Sword without attaching an energy. Wow. Just rough first turns from here from Ying. Just really rough first turns in back-to-back games. Couldn't find any Pokemon to get him going in game 1. Finds all the Pokemon he can find here and then can't find energy. I mean, even if he did, Jordan had wait and see hammer, so it would have felt bad. But like, it feels really bad missing the energy attachment in ADP turn 1. I compare ADP a lot to the old Virizion Genesect deck, where as long as you attach an energy turn 1, you had an amazing first turn. If you got the energy on board in Virizion Genesect, you're like, yep, cool, attach and pass. Cool. That's all I needed to do this turn was get an energy on board. That's kind of how ADP plays out. It's basically Virizion Genesect on steroids, right? It has a Pokemon that requires two energy attack that sets up your entire deck, which is ADP's GX attack, similar to Emerald Slash from the Virizion GX. And then it has a big attacker that comes in and swings and one-shots most of the format. Just like Genesect did with G Booster back in the day, Zacian V doing that, fulfilling that role here. But Jordan getting rid of his wait and see hammer. Ying doesn't attach an energy. The card's now useless. But not useless because you can use it as discard fodder for quick balls. So he plays quick ball here. Goes and gets that Jirachi. Is Jordan just going to set up in Ying's face again? Going second. And it's like, Jordan's like, wait, I'm going second, but it feels like I'm going first both of these games. So, definitely going to get set up. Doesn't find the water energy this time, but definitely gets that metal easily enough. Plays that Marnie. Now, Ying's already behind. I mean, the Marnie's not going to feel as bad considering he's got Jirachi in the active. He's also got an Oranguru. So, he shouldn't disrupt Ying too much. And he gets Professor's Research off the Marnie to 4 anyway. But at this point, Jordan finds the water energy all set up for next turn. He's got a second Zacian. He found Metal Frying Pan as well, which is going to be relevant. We missed the Sleep Flip from Ying, so he takes care of that now. Irrelevant because he stayed asleep anyway. And the fact that he has a skateboard and Jordan has discarded his Absol off that Acro Bike. So Sleep Flips on Jirachis with a skateboard going to mean absolutely nothing for the rest of the game on Ying's side of the field, and at least. Checks that Sleep Flip again. Still stays asleep after the Intrepid Sword from Jordan. Now, Ying. Ying, my man, can you find an energy? We need to find you an energy, Ying. We need to get some energy on the board. We need at least one on the ADP this turn. Double custom catcher, shrine, and a quick ball. He discards one custom catcher with the quick ball. Just thinning his deck at this point. Getting one of those 4 Jirachis that he plays out of his deck. With 2 already on the field. The potential of an Ultra Creation GX coming down next turn. Definitely don't want any 2 prize liabilities once that GX goes off. Jordan with 8 cards in his hand. Ying with no way to disrupt because he's going to have to play Professor's Research this turn. He finds an energy finally. Ying must be jumping up and down inside. He's like, finally, I get that energy. I can finally look like I'm playing the game. Drops that shrine. So we're going to see some ticks of damage here, which could be very interesting for that Dedenne GX on Ying's side of the board. I don't think the game's... These ADP mirrors tend to not go like 8 turns back and forth, which is what it's going to take to kill that Dedenne. But we'll see how long that shrine... Well, the shrine's never going to disappear now because that's the only 2 stadiums that Jordan plays as well. So that shrine is set in stone for the rest of the game. It's not going anywhere. After discarding a custom catcher, Ying takes one back off the Stellar Wish. Let's see what he decides to do with the rest of his turn. He is going to retreat into the other Jirachi and Stellar Wish yet again. Trying to get max use out of all his races. Finally finds that energy spinner. He'll have that ready for next turn. I wonder if he decides to play it. He probably needs to save it rather than go grabbing the water energy this turn. Because you don't want to grab the water energy, get manied, and then it's like, oh, now I have to find another way. Now I have to find a way to get that water energy again next turn. So we should just see an Intrepid Sword from Ying, and he does just that. Intrepid Sword, we see the 1 damage counters placed on both ADPs and the Dedenne from Shrine of Punishment. You've got to make sure you keep track of that damage. It could be very relevant later into this game. But you see the switch into the Jirachi to make sure he gets that Stellar Wish off. And the sleep flip, Ying's Jirachi waking up. And then we see the Stellar Wish. Let's see what he can grab. He does have that Marnie as an option to disrupt that energy spinner. And Jordan does decide to grab that. So he can disrupt this energy spinner for on Ying's side where he would typically go and grab that water energy to get ADP's GX off. Now we know Jordan has the water energy himself in hand to be able to get his GX off this turn. No problem at all. And see a second Zacian come down now. Has he got a way to get rid of that metal energy in hand? He is holding a metal saucer. He does not have a quick ball or anything to be able to get rid of that metal energy and accelerate onto that Zacian. We didn't see him get as lucky with his Intrepid Sword this game, so there's no additional energy on the field outside of his 2 manual attachments. And we see the money come down. Disrupting Ying San. Both players shuffle their hand, place it on the bottom of your deck, and the player who played it draws 5 and your opponent draws 4. So if your opponent has a good hand and you don't want to see those resources anytime soon, you can play money, put all those resources on the bottom of the deck as you see there from Ying, and also disrupt their hand down to 4. So we should see the GX, that Altered Creation GX. It is the name of the game this weekend. So many ADPs in the field this weekend. You're hearing Altered Creation GX all weekend. It's pretty much the most. It's going to be the most announced GX attack all weekend because even things like Pikarom, Mewtwo has a couple of different options in terms of GXs. So definitely ADP Altered Creation GX going to be the one you hear the most often. And he gets that energy spinner anyway. Ying must be feeling super good about that. He's going to get a water energy down. But just like last game, he is going to be that turn behind Jordan. Despite going first, he is still a turn behind Jordan, missing that energy attachment turn 1. He missed it in game 1 because he didn't get the Pokemon. He misses it in game 2 because he couldn't find the energy. But he finds it here. He's going to get that water attached on the ADP. I'm sure he'll get a Stellar Wish off. Asks for the count from Jordan. Shows him 5. There's no real point in mining. Well, he could mine Jordan here to see make him have one less card. But he has no real information on what Jordan's hand is. So he doesn't know if it's good, bad, ugly, whatever. But we see the Stellar Wish here. Couple of switch, or a switch and a Pokemon catcher, I think. In the Stellar Wish from Ying. Couple of energy. Yeah, so Pokemon catcher, Marnie, 2 metal energy, and a switch, I believe, is the Stellar Wish there for Ying. Grabs that Pokemon catcher. I wonder if he decides to target a Zacian here with the Pokemon catcher. Maybe the one without Frying Pan. And make it a little bit harder for Jordan to attack next turn. If there's a Zacian in the active with no energy on it. But we'll see if that's the line Ying takes here. He may just happily get the GX off, but I feel like he puts him in the same position as last game, where he's staring down the possibility of Jordan just ultimate raying the ADP again. And accelerating to a Zacian. But he decides to just Ultra Creation GX himself, flipping that Furret GX marker. Jordan top decks the energy to be able to use Ultimate Ray again this turn. Just like in game 1. Gets rid of that Shrine of Punishment. There's already one in place. He might as well discard it off the Acro Bike and take the other resource. We'll see if Jordan takes the same line of thought as game 1. It's pretty much the same board state, right? Like, if we compare this to game 1, the only difference is you swap out one of the Jirachis on Ying's side of the field for a second Zacian, and it's like the exact same board state as game 1. The only difference is Jordan's not going to be able to have an Absol on the field, which I don't think at this point is too big a deal. But I think this game can just pretty much play out the same as game 1 for Jordan. He can just attach to the ADP here. He can Ultimate Ray for 180, accelerate to the Zacian. Yeah, and he does decide, it looks like Jordan is going to take that line of thought. I mean, he's got Metal Patch. I don't know if he's got any metal in the discard. But he's going to research here, discarding Metal Patch, Custom Catcher. It looks like an ADP, and I don't know what the other Pokemon is there. It might have been a third Zacian. But here we go. Great catch of that Dedenne. This is the liability that is Dedenne in the mirror, ladies and gentlemen. This is the problem you can have now. Killing a Dedenne with ADP and accelerating energy and taking the 3 prizes. Oh, it's things dreams are made of when you're playing ADP. If you can kill an opponent's Dedenne with ADP, accelerate energy, get those prizes, it's what it's all about. And that is the risk Ying took when he benched it. He knew it could be a problem. It does cost him 3 prizes here. Jordan is just so far ahead at this point. Like, if Jordan finds double custom next turn, he can simply win the game by killing that bench Zacian. With the Zacian, he is now attaching this 3 energy to. Ying is definitely on a clock. But it is pretty much the same situation as last game, right? Ying, if he wants to win the game, is going to have to attack with a Zacian. That's exactly what Jordan wants to see in the active. So I think it's just a matter of this game just going to play out much similar to game 1. But who knows, hopefully Ying can pull something out of the bag here and force it to a game 3. He's got some decisions here. Some decisions. Now he has, I think he's got a Marnie in hand, so he probably needs to look to play Marnie here to disrupt Jordan's hand a little bit to try and stop any custom catcher plays here. But honestly, Jordan can just keep attacking whatever is in Ying's active position at this point. Eventually, he's going to take 3 prizes that way. We see a Pokemon catcher from Ying flips tails on the Pokemon catcher. I remember the good old days when that card used to just be, I'm going to get something off the bench. There was no flip involved. It was automatically going to happen. Okay, fair enough. It might have been a little bit broken, but and it got balanced as a flip card. But hey, when everyone has broken cards, it evens out, right? But you see that Oranguru ability. He has a metal energy. Now let's see if Ying is going to do exactly the same thing. He is going to match. No, maybe not. Okay. 'Cause I feel like Ying knows at this point, it's like, well, if I play this out exactly as I played out game one, it's going to end up probably in the same result, but he really doesn't have a choice. He doesn't have any metal sources. I don't even think he has metal energy in the discard, so he can't even power up that Zacian V any other way besides attacking with his ADP at this point in time. So if he gets the ultimate ray off, he's going to get the energy on that Zacian. But we're looking at this shrine starting to do damage, right? It's starting to slowly chip away at ooh, I just actually Shrine is going to put that ADP on 230, which is the damage that Zacian does. So if he actually comes and attacks with this ADP, Jordan can literally retreat, attach, and kill the ADP for the game. So Ying even in more of a difficult position here because of his own shrine. Like personally, once he had the Dene on the bench, I don't think he could afford to drop shrine in this matchup. I think that may have been a little bit of a misplay dropping shrine, and it may come back to bite him here. But we'll see what happens. Grabbing that switch. Switching into the other Jirachi. Just trying to find as many resources as he possibly can. Giving him as many options as possible. Stellar Wish. What's he going to grab here? He's got a couple of quick balls as an option. A custom catcher. It's looking rough for Ying. I'm not going to lie. It is looking pretty rough for Ying here. Looking at his hand, it is just energy and switch cards. His Stellar Wish is just custom catches and quick balls. And a couple of Pokemon that are now irrelevant at this point in the game. He's gonna take the quick ball. No, yes, no, yes. Maybe Ying, possibly, yep, takes the quick ball. Decides with confirmation letting go of that quick ball that he is going to take it. He is going to discard a metal energy. That is going to help him with those metal sources. Being able to put them to good use now that he has metal energy in the discard. I don't think either player had any metal energy in the discard at this point in time. He's deciding if he wants to go back in. What he's going to grab off the quick ball. He hasn't decided on what card he's going to grab. He's going to grab that Dedenne. He figures he's already in a world of trouble dropping a second Dedenne on the bench. At this point, like, if Jordan has catches, he kills the Zacian for game anyway. So dropping Dedenne to try and further your position. No, but he is just thinning it out of the deck and decides to drop the Absol. Going to make it that much harder for Jordan if he wants to manual retreat or go into Jirachi and manual retreat. But Ying does promote the ADP. He is going to Ultimate Ray here. Accelerate to that Zacian. Does he have only the one energy in deck? Oh boy. That is also not a good time. That is not a good time at all for Ying. And we see it here. We see the metal patch onto the Zacian. Now, if he can find a way out of the active here. Now, I think this is where Jordan goes and grabs his own Dedenne. He's going to dig for a switch. Or even just a manual attach gets him out now with the Absol with ADP's 3 retreat costs. He does not need any energy on the Zacian. He does not need the extra prize condition off the ADP because the tag team gives up 3 prizes anyway, which is all Jordan needs to take. So if he can find an energy off this Dedenne, if he can find a switch, it's going to mean Jordan wins this game, moves on to top 4. Let's see if he can get it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does he get a switch or an energy? It will mean game, and he finds the energy, and that is it. Ying extends that hand. Jordan wins the ADP mirror here, and sees him move on to top 4. commiserations to Ying. He had two really, really rough starts in both games. He missed Pokemon setup in game 1. He missed the energy in game 2. Jordan had wait and see hammer waiting both times. So unfortunately, despite Ying's list going for the ultra consistent route, no matter how consistent something is, the percentages can always go against you. You can always find that slim margin where it doesn't perform for you. That unfortunately is what happened for Ying today. Jordan's deck set up, did exactly what it wanted to do. He got Jirachi ADP Zacian opening both games. He got the manual attached to ADP turn 1. He had the luxury of energy accelerating with Ultimate Ray off the ADP. He could take knockouts as he chose, as he saw fit. But he moves on to top 4. We'll see who his top 4 opponent is later on. I think he's in the same side of the bracket as Henry Brand. So that should be an interesting top 4 matchup if that happens. But thank you very much for joining me with this top 8 match, guys. And we'll see you back in a few for top 4.